Good to go?
Good to go.
So, thanks once again for meeting us. I really greatly appreciate it.
Sure.
So like we just kind of talked about, so you guys are 11-6 on the season. 4 games in a row, you guys drop. What do you do now? Like, how do you adjust from early season success to losing games in a row to dropping out of the top 10? You're still ranked though, 22nd. So
Yeah.
what's your mentality kind of as a coach to get your team through the rest of the Big Ten slate?
Well, you have to approach both the physical and the emotional issues that you're dealing with. And fortunately, we've stayed pretty healthy, with the exception of Natalie Haben, who had an injury at the beginning of the match at Iowa, and she's our libero, who's a very valuable part of the team. But we have to get better at serve receive. If you want to focus on one thing that has kind of held us back, it would be our ability to pass the opponent's serve to a target area where our setter can run the offense. So our focus has been very much, as it always is, on improving that area of the game. I think if we can improve that, we have the offensive skill set with Coutinho and Stahl and Adelaja and Atkinson and Moeller to be pretty successful in this league and really be able to compete with anybody. But the bigger challenge now, as you mentioned, after you've dropped 4 in a row, which I'm sure we probably have done sometime in the last 14 years. I don't recall exactly when that would have happened, maybe in 2009, possibly. But you have to keep your people focused. You have to keep them believing. You have to have your athletes come into the gym and with some energy and enthusiasm and have a real short memory. If you have a long memory in this league, you're going to be miserable a lot of the time. And life's too short, especially at my age. Life's too short to be miserable very long. So I've chose to try to be positive and not let things bother me, maybe like they would have before, and not let it make my team miserable. It's not fair to them to be miserable over if they're giving their best effort. And I don't fault our effort. We're not going out and not prepared. We're prepared to play, but when we got really hot and we had the big wins, and then we ran into Illinois, who was really hungry. They'd been on the opposite end of the spectrum. They were getting beat, and yet they were a really good team, and it was just the timing. They had had enough, and they came into our place and beat us in that 5-game match. And then we ran into some really good teams. Of course, we beat Indiana in front of 10,000 people. That was fun. But then all of a sudden you get Wisconsin, you get Minnesota, you get Nebraska, Iowa thrown in there on the road, another 5-game loss. And so it's going to be really important that we really, really try to maintain a lot of positivity and focus on the things that we can focus on and that we can control.
So you talked about this being such a competitive and tough league. There's 9 teams ranked in the top 25. We talked about this. You don't see that ever in any sport in college. Even when the SEC is as dominant as they were. Even you don't see 1, 2, 3 in any sport either. What's it like to play in a league that's that tough?
Well, I think it gives you a sense of pride, especially if you have been one of those programs that has consistently been very, very good and has helped raise that bar in the Big Ten. 14 years ago, the Big Ten might have been the 4th or 5th best conference in the country. Now, it's the dominant conference in America in the sport of volleyball. That's the positive side of it. The negative side of it is that for the 10 weeks of the Big Ten season, you get no sleep. It's a grind. You've got to prepare for 2 teams a week that are all capable of beating you. There's just a lot that goes on. And the key is just, moving forward each time, turning the page. Whether you win or lose, you turn the page. Example, this isn't Big Ten, but how fast you have to turn the page. We took our young team to Palo Alto, upset Stanford, who's one of the traditional powerhouses in the country, celebrated for all of about 30 minutes, and then had to get ready to play Cal Poly the next day at 4 in the afternoon. And that's one of the things that's unfortunate about college athletics, at least with the schedule we have. You can't really appreciate those great moments unless they're at the national championship. But we try to find ways to do that. I think that you've got to allow your team to enjoy what they're doing, and we try to do that.
So with that, your team, you talked about beating Stanford. It's a young team. You know, you only have one senior on your roster as Catino. What's it like to kind of take a young team and give them the ability to be able to win these type of matches? I mean, you're the one spearheading this charge of beating good teams, but now you've kind of faced some diversity, so it's kind of they've faced both up
Sure.
and down being a young team. How do you do?
Well, I think the coach sometimes gets too much credit for winning and for losing. All right, I mean it's a lot of times it's really up to the team, and I think when we went out to Stanford and when we beat Kansas here, who was a Final Four team from a year ago and ranked 4th in the country, I think that was on the team. I think that they were fearless, and they believed that this was something that they could do. We were down 2-0 at Stanford, came back at their place and won the last 3, and the 5th game we won it going away. And so I think that was just the mentality that our team took and the approach that they took and the togetherness that they had. But everybody's going to go through adversity. Even Wisconsin, who's ranked number 1 in the country right now, got rocked last night by Minnesota. They're going through some adversity right now. So how does your team respond then? Not when things are going smooth, but how do they respond when things get tough? And a team that's got 4 or 5 seniors will handle that with a little more ease than a team that doesn't, especially if the expectations have been raised on them. And that's kind of where what we fell, and that's why Monday's practice in here, without our intent, was kind of like a morgue. We lost Sunday at Nebraska and really had our lunch handed to us up there. And coming Monday to practice, and it was not an enjoyable experience. And it just because these guys are competitors and they were starting to question themselves. So we have to get them back up to where they believe. And there's lots of ways that you try to do that. But you've got Penn State coming in here, Friday night at 8 o'clock, and they're playing as well as anybody in our league. That team, that Minnesota team that just rocked the number 1 Wisconsin, Penn State beat them, a week ago. So, we have to be ready for a really, really good team, and that's the challenge of coaching. But again, it's not all coaching. It's, are the players going to take responsibility, and what are they going to do, and what is your leadership going to do to get themselves ready to go?
So you talked about Friday, Penn State, 10 in the country, but this weekend's different though, right? It's homecoming weekend. Do you see homecoming as kind of a time, to celebrate the alumni coming back? Like, you've been here for a while, so you've seen 14 homecomings now. So is Friday's game different in your mindset? Maybe more people will be in the stands?
No question. Well, we're gonna sell out both matches this weekend, and we pretty much sell out every Big Ten match, as you know. So it's always great to play at home. But when you have home events during the weekend or the week of homecoming, it means more. And you use that more to your team. You let them know that a lot of people coming back to watch you guys play. This is going to be maybe the highlight of their weekend, to come in here and watch Purdue play Penn State. And, what are you going to do? Are you going to be prepared to go? This is a winnable match for us. We match up with this team. I mean, they're a young team also. 2 young and talented teams getting together, one team flying high, one team finding out what they're made out of. Okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to respond to this? What are you going to do for your 2,500 people that have come out to watch you play? And so that's some of the, I guess, words of advice I would offer our team.
So do you have a favorite maybe homecoming memory? Maybe not with volleyball. So I know you're a big you're a big Purdue fan. You love Purdue sports. So, has there been a football game that maybe you've been to, or a memory that you share with your family?
Well, I think for me with homecoming, it's some of those very first players that we coached at Purdue. When we came in here, and Purdue was the worst program in the Big Ten. They'd won 3 matches in 2 years in the Big Ten, and yet we had some players on that team and some early recruits that decided enough was enough, and they dedicated themselves to this program to make it better. So when they come back, it's a great thing. And so, when we think about who we're going to win for, who we're going to play for, what is homecoming about? Not about us, okay? It's about Carol Dewey's teams, okay, that built this program and got things started. It's about those early teams that I had back in 2003, 2004, 2005 that got this ball rolling. So now we're playing in front of a sellout crowd every night that we step on the floor, and we have elite facilities because of what those people did, not by what anything our current players did. This was all built by other people. What are you going to do? How are you going to say thanks? And so for homecoming, those are the people that I look forward to. Those are the people I think of. You know, we have an alumni match. We do some different things with our alumni, but so many have made great sacrifices and done incredible things to get our volleyball program to where it is now. And now it's our responsibility to carry on that tradition.
So I know you guys got 2 matches this weekend, Friday and Sunday, correct? So
Mm-hmm.
are you gonna spend
Friday, Saturday.
Friday, Saturday.
Yes.
So are you gonna? I know are you gonna spend any time maybe at Ross-Ade at all on Saturday?
I will be at Ross-Ade to watch Daryl's team play Iowa, and I think it's one of the biggest football games that Purdue has had in my time here. You know, we had a big one against the Badgers a few years ago where we had game day here, and we were in a position to really go, and that didn't go too well. It went pretty well until late in the game, and there was a fumble, and things kind of turned at that moment. And now we got a chance to play a really good football team in Iowa. You know, the win over Illinois was great because it was on the road and it came in a great fashion. But Illinois is a fledgling program with a new coach. Okay, so now we're playing Iowa with one of the best football coaches in America, and a team that has had great success. So a great opportunity for our guys on our home field to send a message to the rest of America on what Purdue football really is.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Thanks for being here. You betcha.
Amen. I just know you love your Purdue